1 News.
8:14, welcome back on your Tuesday. Allergies taking Colorado by storm right now. For some, it has been hard to determine if you're dealing with allergies. Maybe it's the common cold. How do you tell the difference? And with so many different types of medication out there, another question, which ones work well, which ones don't? And there are also ways that you can keep your house clean and allergy-free. So if anyone understands this, poor Drew, fighting off the allergies this morning. I mean, how you doing, buddy?
It's something, I grew up here, so I'm kind of used to it. And it's spring. Spring are the worst allergies. Many people out there watching, you know, you grew up here, and there's all different types of medications, and I've tried them all, and it's just kind of one of those things you deal with for
What
a
do you think
days.
triggered it?
I think it's when we get these storms that come in. We get the wind that blows. I think the pollen kind of circulates. Whenever these big storm comes in the spring, it's like the day before and the day after the storm. I got the really nasally congestion.
Well, let's bring in Dr. Megan Press. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Of course. Now, you're the expert. Kind of break it down for us.
Yes.
What you can do to alleviate these allergies. How do you know the difference?
Absolutely. So typical allergy symptoms are, as you know, congestion, sneezing, runny nose, itchy eyes, watery eyes. That's typical allergy symptoms. However, those can also be cold symptoms. For me, when I hear fever chills, persistent symptoms that are maybe a little worse than usual, most people can kind of tell their typical allergy symptoms versus cold symptoms. Anything that doesn't feel like the norm, or you should never have a fever or chills or that kind of rundown blah feeling.
You know, it can be really overwhelming too when you're feeling a little under the weather. You go to the drugstore. There are so many over-the-counter drugs available. Or do you want to opt for some prescriptions? How do you know what to do?
So in my world, first-line therapy is over-the-counter now. So you can either start with a daily antihistamine like Zyrtec. That one I like because it's a 24-hour, but Claritin, Allegra, that's a good first line. There are also nasal steroids over the counter now, like Flonase, Nasacort. Those used to be prescription only. They went over the counter a couple years ago. Either one is good to start. If neither seems to do it, you can put them both together.
I had a quick question about that. So I used Flonase this morning. I used Claritin this morning. I've been told before to kind of switch them up so you don't become immune to one specific medicine. Is that?
And that can happen sometimes. I certainly have people that habituate to medications. I think that's less common, but I always tell people to cycle through all of them and try. Some people do respond better to Zyrtec versus Allegra versus Claritin. So it's reasonable to kind of try the different ones if you don't feel like you have a good response the first time.
So are allergies genetic? Is this something you can develop later in life? Are you born with allergies?
It kind of runs the whole spectrum. Like some of it is genetic, but sometimes I see people that have never had issues and then they develop them in their 40s or 50s.
Moving to a new state.
Absolutely. I think some of it is what you've grown up around, but I think certainly our bodies change slightly over time, and so we can always kind of develop this, unfortunately, throughout our whole life.
All right, expert tips from Dr. Megan Press. Thank you so much for joining us here in studio. All right, let's get over to meteorologist Greg Dutra. Greg, do you suffer from allergies?
Yeah, occasionally. Not as bad as Drewby over there. And my mom doesn't text me every time I sound stuffy either. Drew, make sure you